Okay, so for printing, I want a new clean space to work with. So I'm going to take my plate, I'm going to move it onto a fresh sheet of newsprint. Again, you can use old newspaper or something like that. I'm going to put my dirty sheet aside and get ready for printing. So now that I've moved my plate, I'm going to take the gloves off because I want clean hands for handling the paper. I'm also just going to try to make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to take a piece of tape, fold it around and stick it to itself, and then put that down. I'm going to put it on the edge, somewhere that my image isn't necessarily touching if I can. I don't think that that'll have any effect on the print, but just in case it does, I want to put it off to the side somewhere where it won't be a big deal if it does affect it. Then I'm going to take one of the sheets that I'm going to print with. You'll notice that one side is a little bit smooth and the other side is a little bit rough. We want that rough side facing down against our print. So you can see through the paper a little bit. You want to try to get it as even on there, or even over your image as you can. And then with a little bit of tape, I'm going to tape the paper down on one side so that I can lift it up and peek at it. But this tape could tear the paper because it's too sticky. So one of the things that I like to do is I'll take a piece of tape, and to make it less sticky, I'll stick it to myself. I'll stick it to my own clothes. Do this a couple times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And that picks up the fibers from your clothes and makes the tape just a little bit less sticky, so that it'll be less inclined to tear the paper when you remove it later. Okay. And now I can start my burnishing. So I think it'll be easier to get that ink to lift up if we dampen our paper just a little bit. So I'm going to take a paper towel and my spray bottle, and I'm just going to kind of dampen just a couple splats on top of that paper. Get a little bit more even. You don't want to do too much because water-based ink, and that ink can start to kind of leak a little bit. And we want to have nice crisp lines as we go. Now I'm going to take my plastic bag, which I got a little bit of ink on. I want to clean that up. Anytime you see, if you make a little bit of a mess, try to clean it up right away, because otherwise that mess will spread. Okay. And then we're going to take our spoon, and we're just going to kind of slowly burnish on top of our image. And we're trying to get that ink to transfer from the plate to our paper. And you can kind of see the ink starting to kind of bleed through that paper a little bit. This is why I like to use the plastic bag that you can see through, because you can really start to see your image come through there. It does take a fair amount of pressure. I'm kind of going little kind of circular motions over my print. And you don't want to stay in the same area for too long, because you could start to, for one, you could wear through the plastic, and even worse, you could wear through the paper. We don't want our paper to be worn through. So I can see through this paper pretty well, so I have an idea of what the print is going to look like. So move around the plate, try to get the whole thing. It's looking pretty good. There are some, I did a little bit too much of like just going back and forth with lines, so I want to go back and kind of fix those, because I think those lines will kind of show up as little streaks through my image. It's looking pretty good. All right, so let's take a peek and see what we're looking at. So that's how my print is turning out. It looks pretty good. I don't see anything that looks too off or messed up. I think I got a little bit too much water and it started to kind of bleed through, making it a little bit gray. So next print, I'll try using a little bit less water for it and see how that works. But I think that looks pretty good. So in between prints, we do want to clean our plate, only because this is that faster drying ink. It's not like oil-based ink that takes a very long time for it to dry. And I don't want it to dry and clog up those lines. So I want to clean it in between prints. So for the next video, I'll show you how to clean.